Way back in episode 178, I demonstrated how to use DIY decals to customize locomotives and rolling stock. I had great success with printing dark-colored designs on clear decal paper to apply to light-colored surfaces. However, my attempt to make white lettering was a failure. After considering many other options, I found the answer on the workbench right in front of me. Hello again, this is Mike with episode number 200 of Toy Train Tips and Tricks. Thanks for joining me on this video journey. While examining my Lionel MPC Rio Grande Jeep 7s from 1974 the other day, I took a good look at the lettering. Unlike most Lionel models, the Rio Grande lettering on these models is neither paint, nor ink, nor traditional waterslide decal. Instead, the lettering is applied with what I believe is called an electrocal. Anyone in the printing business, feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. This works somewhat like a waterslide decal, but it is thicker, more durable, and provides some texture as well as color to the model. The texture reminded me of sheet vinyl, and that led me back to my workbench. It suddenly occurred to me that I could use vinyl to create custom lettering for locomotives and rolling stock like this tender. A few years ago, we purchased a Cricut air machine for my son, who had developed a side hustle at school, selling customized tumblers and pens to his classmates and teachers. He could use the Cricut machine to cut custom designs and text out of the thin sheet vinyl to apply to his craft items. He's since moved on to grass mowing, snow shoveling, and repairing two-cycle gas engines, so he hasn't used the machine for a while. The Cricut cutting machine, and there are other brands like Silhouette, for example, it uses computer data and stepper motors to control the action of a tool-holding head, much in the same manner as a 3D printer or a computerized CNC machine. A sharp, needle-like blade can make precise cuts as fine as a fraction of a millimeter in paper, cardstock, vinyl, some fabrics, and even in thin balsa. Many N and HO scale scratch builders use these to help create detailed scratch-built models. Another attachment can hold a pen or a marker to create what appear to be hand-drawn designs, but without the writer's cramp. Vinyl sheets are available in a rainbow of colors and can be permanent or removable. I use removable vinyl on my models in case I change my mind later. I've already done one side of this tender. Let's walk through the process for the other side. First, I use the included software to prepare the text. There are about 200 or so free fonts available, but thousands more can be purchased if you need something special. I use the included Noto Serif font for the tender. With the design completed in the software, I loaded a sheet of white vinyl onto the aptly named sticky mat. This mat holds the vinyl in place for cutting. Once the vinyl is mounted on the board, it is loaded into the machine, and then the software is loaded into the machine. Then we can sit back and watch the magic happen. After the cuts are made, the sticky board is unloaded from the machine. You can't see much yet because the cuts are so fine. I pulled the vinyl off the board and cut a straight line under my text. This will create a smooth edge for the next project. Next, apply transfer tape to the front side of the lettering. This is a clear vinyl with a small amount of adhesive applied. Use a burnishing tool to make sure there are no air bubbles, no wrinkles, and that the transfer tape grips the lettering firmly. Slowly peel the transfer tape from the lettering, and the individually cut letters should attach themselves to the transfer tape, leaving the excess vinyl behind. If the lettering does not come off cleanly, you may have to try again, increasing the blade pressure settings on your machine. This is especially necessary with very fine cuts, such as small lettering and minute details. Now, the tricky part. Use a pointed tool to weed the unwanted parts of your lettering, in this case, the center of the Q. Some designs are easier than others. Once the letters have the desired look, use the transfer tape to align your design with the model. Then simply press down firmly. You may use a burnishing tool for extra security, then peel the transfer tape away. Voila! Beautiful white letters on a black background. If you don't like the look or want to try again, simply peel off your removable design and print again. Now, let's add cab numbers. Design your print. I use the same font as the tender lettering, but reduce the size about 25% in order to fit under the cab windows. Then, load the vinyl, print the design, and apply the transfer tape, and peel away. Since the numbers are small, I printed extra sets in case there was a problem. In this case, the printing went well, but not so much for the weeding. I intended the number of the steamer to be number 2508, but the 8 was so small that I kept damaging the letter while weeding out the middle. After several tries, I gave up and renumbered the locomotive number 250, which was the original Lionel number anyway. I'll probably redo it as a number 2507 or something similar that's easier to weed than the number 8. And now my tender and steamer shells are complete and ready for reassembly. What else can you do with vinyl? Well, if you're like me, you tend to accumulate a fleet of identical Lionel post-war rolling stock, such as the number 6462 NYC Gondola or the number 6456 Lehigh Valley Hopper. While I like long gone and coal trains, seeing strings of identically lettered and numbered cars can upset the old-scale modeler in me. A simple solution can be found by observing nearly any freight train. Cars will often change owners, but painting cars is an expense that many, especially commercial owners, want to avoid. Instead, they simply paint out the old reporting marks and numbers and apply new, leaving the rest of the car intact. This same patching process is often used after railroad mergers as well, quickly marking the new car owners without the time and expense of a complete repaint. Since my railroad focuses on the mid-1970s, this is a perfect solution for me, as Conrail inherited thousands of cars that had to be relettered quickly. How can I use vinyl to make a patch? Simple. Start by applying a black rectangle over the existing car reporting marks. If the car has a color such as red or green, shop crews would sometimes use a similar color as the background, but not always. Once your black vinyl masks are applied to the car, simply add a layer of white vinyl letters and numbers to denote the new ownership. I picked a basic font that would be typical of the stencils used by shop crews. If you change your mind and wish to sell the car, simply peel off the vinyl to return the car to original condition. A word of warning though, exposure to sunlight or fluorescent lighting like older shop lights can cause surfaces to fade. If this occurs, the vinyl-covered portions of your car will be a slightly different color from the rest. If in doubt, don't use this method on the best items in your collection. Railroads sometimes use a more subtle patch, especially on locomotives. I really like the look of my Rio Grande GP7, but that scale modeler in me has a hard time justifying having Rio Grande on my railroad. Except the orange and black colors are a good match for my diesel color scheme. So what if my railroad bought a few Jeep 7s from the Rio Grande, but left the paint intact? Instead, a small stencil under the cab would be enough to identify the new ownership. Brilliant! Create the design, print, peel, weed, and apply, and presto! New motive power for the Ohio, Indiana, and Northern Kentucky, reporting marks, oink. And keep the cool Rio Grande color scheme. A win-win. And again, if I change my mind, the removable vinyl simply peels away, leaving the original diesel intact. And there are dozens of other projects around the railroad that can benefit from vinyl lettering, such as traffic markers, control panel labels, and much more. Vinyl letters won't replace decals completely. There are many intricate designs that will print well on a custom decal paper that would be a nightmare to weed in vinyl. Still, this is just another tool in the modeling toolbox that you can use. If your household already has a Cricut or other vinyl cutter, give it a try on a project or two. If you don't have one, consider it, especially if someone else in the household is into crafting of any sort. This video has just scratched the surface of the many things that these little machines can do, and they are very user-friendly and easy to learn. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it, and if so, please share with your friends and neighbors, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. Keep the trains running and the vinyl cutting, and we'll see you next time with more toy train tips and tricks.